we're standing out here today at our cereal variety trial. We have several new durum varieties in here, as well as one new barley variety. We are just comparing them to see how they stand up against standards like Transcend and Strongfield, and just to show some of the differences that you'll expect to see in the field when they get out there. The first one that we have seeded here is AAC Spitfire. It's a new variety from CCAN. It's supposed to be the highest yielding available right now. I believe seed will be available either for 2016 or 2017. It's very short, as you can see, compared to the border variety that we have sitting beside it. It's about 2 inches shorter. It's supposed to have standard maturity right on with Strongfield and 109% yield. So if that pans out, it'll be a very impressive variety. Probably the only downside on it is that it doesn't have very good fusarium head blight resistance. Next to it here is AAC Marchwell. It's a varietal blend. It's used, it has the SM1 gene for orange blossom wheat midge resistance. It probably won't be a great fit for this area because we don't have a lot of wheat midge issues in this area yet, but they're probably on the way. It's a variety that is more suited for areas a little farther north of here. But it does have a better fusarium head blight rating than most of the other varieties we have in this trial, so that's why I still wanted to take a look. The other thing with the varietal blend is you're only allowed to use your own seed for 2 years so that your varietal blends stay in the proper ratio. This is AAC Raymore. I think it was out for a general release last year. It's a little different from most of the other varieties in that it has a solid stem. The issue is for soft fly resistance. So this stuff should be a little stronger standing because it's a very stiff stem. As you can see, it also has a little bit of different color to it. It's must have a little bit of that black on coloring that falls back to, like, say, a Navigator or a Pelissier. If I take one out and cut it here, you'll see that the pith on the stem is completely solid. Whereas if I compare it against this Marchwell, it's right beside it. Its stems are quite hollow. So with this solid stem, it makes it very hard for the softfly larvae to survive in that plant because it's much harder for them to move around. So this leads to much lower survivability, and also so it reduces the insect load in that field as years go along, and also will reduce the damage in the year it's growing. It's a very strong, solid pith. This genetics have been in hard red spring wheats for quite a while, and I have never seen one that makes that completely solid a center. Standing to my left is Transcend, which has gotten to be a fairly popular variety in this area over the last couple of years. The benefits of Transcend are that it has a very easy threshing head and very good quality seeds, so usually fairly low in sprouts and high HVK numbers, so it makes for a very high quality sample. It also seems to have pretty good resistance to leaf diseases, and it also has a poor rating for fusarium head blight, which, believe it or not, is about as good as it gets in durum genetics right now. But as you can see, its major downside is that it has a very tall straw. You know, standing beside the Raymore right here, it's obviously 1 inch to 2 inches shorter. In the standard ratings, it is rated as 2 inches taller than anything else. The other thing is it can be a little later maturing. This year in these dry conditions, it's forcing all the varieties along, so it's a little harder to see our maturity ratings. But in years previous, when we've had it in our variety trials, it has definitely been 2 to 4 days later. Moving along to Strongfield. Once again, just comparing against it and Transcend, there's not as much height difference as you'd expect to see here, but there is about 1 inch. We will be measuring these right before we harvest just to get a good number rather than just the visuals. Strongfield's been the varietal standard for probably about 10 years now. It has excellent protein, and it's used to be probably the standard for seed color, although some of these newer varieties have surpassed it. It also doesn't have, its probably biggest downside is that it's a very hard threshing head, which will usually lead to a little higher dockage numbers at delivery, and it doesn't have terribly great resistance to sprouting. We found last year it probably had the highest number of sprouts in a challenging harvest conditions. The last variety on our durum trial is CDC Desire. This variety is available through Syngenta. It's been out for a couple of years now. It's a very early maturing variety. In years previous, it's been proven to be shorter than Strongfield, although this year it's about the same. It's a very early establishing variety as well. Yield-wise, it proved quite good last year on the, and it was better than Strongfield. So we'll see how that pans out again. But probably the main reason anyone would be looking at growing this variety is the early maturity. You could grow two varieties, basically seed your Desire first and then seed Strongfield or something else second, and you'd be able to sort of stagger your harvest, and you'd have everything ripening and a little more evenly rather than all at once. So the variety I'm standing here now is, we had just put in AAC Synergy, which is a new barley variety available through Syngenta. It's in malting trials right now. Just to see what sort of malt quality it has and if there will be much acceptance in the market. It's a very exciting variety because it has a very high yield rating compared to any other malt varieties on the market right now. So we're looking to see how well it actually yields in our conditions, and especially we'll see how it pans out in this drier year we've had. Definitely compared to the Metcalf I have to my right, it established way earlier, it covered the ground and was more competitive with weeds. And now that we're looking at it here, the heads are somewhat bigger and the seeds are way bigger as well. You can see as it's forming in the head.